Should I wait to buy a house until after the election time frame? Have you ever asked yourself that question? I'm going to wait until the election. I'm going to wait until later in the year. I'm going to see if what the market's going to do before I purchase a home. If that is a question that you have asked, this is the episode for you. My name is LaShawn Abraham. I am a branch manager, mortgage loan officer here in Summerville, South Carolina, serving Empowered by New American Funding. I work alongside my husband on a wonderful team. Gavin, introduce yourself.
Yeah, like you said, Gavin Abraham, the other better half of Team Abraham. I'm
Not
sorry,
better.
but guys, now excited. Another Teaching Tuesday. Today's date is November the 6th, day after Election Day, and we got a good topic. So,
Y'all know who I am. I'm Will Mont with the Bear Group. We just gonna move this right along. Let's get right up into this
Yes.
topic.
So this is such a good topic. Such a good topic. Lately, a lot of the I would say hesitation or reservations have been I'm going to wait until after the election before making a decision if I should move forward with buying a house. As Gavin mentioned, it's November 6th, so there's still plenty of time left in 2024 if homeownership was a dream or desire of yours so that you can still pursue it. So a lot of
mhm.
people have kind of been on the fence on if they should do so because they felt like based on the results of the election, something was going to change. I'm assuming, I don't know, that maybe they thought that interest rates are going to get lower, house prices are going to get lower, things are going to get more affordable. I'm not sure. So let's kind of talk about it, guys. Have you guys heard that question? Have any of your clients women asked you about like, hey, you think I should wait to buy?
Why you sound like a dude just now when you
I don't
said
know.
that?
I,
Crazy.
very few have brought that up to me. I have heard it. I will say that. However, and I do know there's some anxiety about what could happen after the election, what policies might take place that might influence, the housing market and interest rates. So I do know that there's a little bit of worry there about what could happen. Will the market become buyer's market or will it become a seller's market? It's just really don't know right now. So yeah.
That's a good point. Gab, what about you? You talk to a
Yeah,
lot of clients.
no, absolutely. I mean, I think more than often they're asking as it pertains to interest rates. The general consensus, and this is just based on proven data, that rates typically do trend down as we approach an election year. And we've kind of seen that, here and there this year. Rates didn't go back down to where people may have thought in their head they were going to go down to, but they have stabilized and they have kind of been at a resting place where it's considered average in this market. Um, with the election now that it's here and we have a new president elect, um, do I think that they're going to be immediate impacts or changes right away? I don't think so because those things typically take time, based on what new policies are put in place or um, what people may think or how the because the combat the depiction that politics controls the rates. They don't. The Federal Reserve does, and they don't look at politics in regards to how the market is going to fluctuate in regards to interest rates. So just keep that in mind. But if you do have a good rate, now, in today's market, I think I highly suggest locking it in and purchasing now. Don't speculate and wait to see what's going to happen 2 to 3, 4 months from now because honestly it's probably going to be the same. Or you could jeopardize, by waiting, and getting a higher rate.
Good point. Good point. So, Wilma, kind of give us a little bit of a market update. What have you been seeing? I guess these past few weeks and months in the market that you've been serving.
Well, so as a realtor, I do get a question. How's the market, Wilmot? Right. So, and and sometimes it's a little. It depends on who I'm talking to, right? From an agent standpoint,
Mhm.
That's a different answer from a buyer standpoint, a seller standpoint. You know, I could tell you a multitude of different things, right? But I got some data for you. So I hope this kind of gives you an idea and I can kind of explain the data to you on how's the market doing. This is going to be specific to the Orangeburg area. However, if you live in like Columbia, Charleston, or whatever, I can still pull this same data for your areas as well. So just to kind of give you some numbers wise, number of listings. These are number of homes that have been put on the market. All right. In the month of October, we're talking in between 100 and 100 and 120 homes that have been put on the market in the month of October. That so yeah. So and then we had some new stuff, that homes that were sold. That's around, that 20-ish homes that were sold in the month of October just for the Orangeburg area. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So and then also let's talk about, one of the things I know a lot of people ask about, which is, you know, what what is like the median sales price for Orangeburg? I like to give a median number instead of an average. There's a difference, and I can probably explain why I might want to go with the median number other than the average number. So the median sales price home in Orangeburg is around 179,000 right now. That's the median sales price. Um, but but just to kind of give you an idea, the median list price, this is what people put the house on the market at, and the sales price is what it actually sold for. Okay, so we have been seeing maybe like some price drops in the market. So the median list price is around 259 in Orangeburg.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
I wanted to kind of go into that a little bit because I think there's some that kind of tells you what the market is doing a little bit. You know, I think before in previous years when it was a seller's market, you were looking at list price, what's the median list price, and then what would be the median sales price. That sales price would be higher, okay? Because people were bidding the houses up, okay? If that makes sense. Does that does that make
Yeah,
sense?
that does make sense because you think about someone who puts their house on the market at that 259 mark, but on average, if houses are selling at are truly selling at 170,
Yeah.
or in that 170 range. I mean, to me, that's a big gap there. So that right there should kind of tell you, that the market is kind of either slowing down some or just trying to stabilize to kind of, because buyers are not reacting as fast to how they were reacting before when we were in more of a seller's market and people were overbidding for houses. So I
Yeah.
think you're making a really good point, and I'm pretty sure rates have a lot to do with that.
Another key thing to think about with that is the affordability, because even I get it, even though the list price is at that 250 or whatever, a lot of that could stem from those homes aren't selling in those
Mm-hmm.
at that price point. So a
Absolutely.
lot of people are buying in that median price of 179.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's food for
Yeah,
thought.
so that's a really good point. So one of the things I like to make sure that people understand when you give this information and when people, hear phrases like, okay, I'm going to wait until, rates drop. I'm going to wait until house prices drop. I'm going to wait until whatever their reason for waiting is truly understanding the factors that play a part in whatever is driving your decision to purchase a home or to even sell a home, right? Because a lot of times when you really think about it, um, back where you were talking about when people were overbidding for home prices, that was during COVID. And you have to kind of ask yourself, well, why? Because there was a shortage of properties. You had people that could now all of a sudden work remote. There who were out of work. They got new jobs. There was all of this activity going on in the world that caused people to react differently. And because spending had kind of slowed down because of these changes, what the Fed did was they dropped, their Fed rate all the way down to zero, which then impacted mortgage rates to be 2 and 3%. And so when you think about that in itself versus today when that's no longer the case, you're not going to see rates get as low as 2 and 3%. But one of the things people have to keep in mind, kind of what Gavin mentioned in the beginning of this, is when rates dropped, they didn't just drastically drop. You didn't wake up one day and the rate went from 5% to 2%. It happened over time and it happened in incremental changes. And so for people who are on the fence and thinking, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't buy right now, I should really wait and see what happened. There is a risk there. There's pros and cons to buying now and waiting to buy. And so I think what you have to do is really evaluate what's going to be the best decision and choice for yourself and your family. Because there's not a guarantee that you're going to get to whatever I call it fantasy rate you may have in your head or whatever fantasy payment that you may want to pay. And so you want to make sure that you really understand what's driving your behavior so that you can make the best decision, because sometimes you can wait too long and unfortunately you may be in a situation where you actually price yourself out of the market, because that's the thing too. But real quick before we kind of wrap up for today, we wanted to kind of just talk about, we were talking about the whole, election, and now we have the outcome of the election. Like, how does this really impact the real estate and mortgage industry? Gavin mentioned interest rate. We have to also think about the market stability, right? Because inventory, housing, demand and supply and things like that. Because depending on, the different, political administration that comes in and what policies they want to put in place or not put in place, over time, that will generally have an impact on if people decide to put their houses on the market, if there's any incentives that are available to kind of help curb the cost of affordability, because those are all still hot topics, and people are worried about those things.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Um, so can in a state to where we're currently in I would call this a stable market. Inventory and the market itself has been stable now for I would say over a year. We've seen where there is more inventory. Um, Less people have been purchasing in prior years because of that stabilization. Before when rates were super low, we had a large number of buyers out there, buying homes, just flooding the market, and that's why inventory went kaput and we couldn't keep up with the growth. But now that now that the market's stable and people are still buying, just not as quickly and as much as they were in the COVID, let's call it COVID years. But yeah, so we're now stable and we now have inventory. So regardless of the what happened in the election, if since we weren't in a uncertain state, I think it's going to continue that way unless as new policies are implemented, whatever the agenda is for the new president elect will determine, how things move forward. But again, those things aren't going to change rapidly. Most policies that are put in place, they have first of all, they don't just go in effect right then and there. There's a process to how policies are approved and implemented, and those changes we see, months to years down the line.
Absolutely. I'm gonna add something, Gavin. I just want people to know this too. Is right? Is this? Let's just say with the new president that interest rates drop,
Mhm.
right? What is that going to do? This is what we talked about supply and demand and how this is going to work. If interest rates drop, guess what? Not only you, but your cousin, your mama cousin, all of them gonna want to buy a house at that point, right? What does
Mhm.
that mean? It's going to be a lot more people coming back into the market to buy a home. It's going to be more competitive to buy a home. Okay, and when more people come into the market to buy a home, and they all want a certain house, guess what? Prices will rise because of that. Okay, prices will demand rises, the price is going to go up. Okay,
Mhm.
so just remember that because you might be sitting on the sideline saying, "I'm gonna wait, man. I'm gonna wait till them interest rates drop," but then just understand you're gonna be in a more competitive market, and you might pay more for that house. That
And not to mention, Will, how that affects your buyers when, in a market as of today, a seller may be more willing to give you assist with your closing costs. But when they
absolutely,
have when they have multiple offers on the table, well, you know what?
Mhm.
I'm not going to be willing to give out this closing. I can keep this money in my pocket because I have somebody who's willing to buy this home without me losing anything additional, or they want to buy above value. So
yeah. There's so many factors that could bring. So just FYI, if you're on the sideline, you're thinking, should I wait? Just know what could happen if let's just say interest rates do drop. You could be in a situation where you could be bidding in a bidding war with a home. So yeah.
Yeah, such good information, guys. Such good information. I love us putting out these videos to kind of educate, our viewers on really the realistic side of real estate, right? Because what you don't want to do, because I hear a lot of times people just want a deal. They're searching for a deal, right? And there's nothing wrong with searching for a deal, but what you have to, keep in mind that you're not the only one searching for a deal. And sometimes when you have too much demand of people trying to get a deal, you actually end up paying more. So our advice will always be, if you are eligible to buy a house now and today, you should proceed with buying a house now and
mhm.
today. And so until next time, guys, once again, if you guys have any questions or any topics that you want us to discuss or anything that you just don't understand that you would like for us to, bring to Teach Me Tuesday, we are more than happy to do so. Once again, I'm LaShawn Abraham. We have Gavin Abraham and Mr. Wilmot Berry. Until next time, we'll see you guys again.
Please.
Awesome. Take care. Happy day.